Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Vortex. I'm your host, Kathleen Pitt, the quantum psychic. Today, we're going to be talking about Bad Bunny's halftime show, which, if it's contentious to you, if you didn't like it, I encourage you, if you're open to the quantum, if you're open to unity, peace, power, intuition, and development, to really walk into the space and keep your mind open because things are changing. The world is changing. The the things that used to work aren't working anymore. And so if you have heard or feel division within the show, I want you to tune into this podcast and come in with a perception that possibly this is more uniting than anything any mainstream media can tell you. So come into it with an open mind and open heart. Like I really, really want you to hear and absorb this message. If you're new here, my goal is to get you paid for your purpose. My goal is for you to manifest your dream life and to claim the power you have as the creator of your reality. Every single one of you that's listening to this has a purpose in this world. It is time for you to be seen, be heard, be paid for the work that you're meant to do because you are that special, you are that important, and it is time for you to just open up yourself to your gifts. Super Creator is my 4-month quantum transformation program to really set the stage and foundation for you to do that, to clear your energetic blocks for business. Maybe you have a business and it's not performing as well as you'd like. Maybe you know your purpose and you're ready to step into it in a bigger and bolder way. Or maybe you're just one of those people that I continuously call in that know they're made for more, know they're here to be paid, know that they've always, always, always were meant to be seen and heard for their brilliance. Like when you look at the stars, you feel a gaping hole in your chest calling you to more. If that's you, reach out to me about the Super Creator Program. Book a discovery call with me if you're ready to invest in yourself. I'll put the link in the bio below or the notes below. But it is time. It is time for you to be seen and be heard and be paid for exactly who you are. Now, let's talk about Bad Bunny because I think his halftime show was just the absolute epitome of this. So, like a little bit of background information on me and how this all really came into fruition and why this is landing for me in such a big way. If you're new here, you may have been a new follower from the breakdown that I did as an intuitive oracle and psychic on how Bad Bunny's performance was him like a contribution to history, almost a timeline shift. I really believe the timeline shifted, the split of the old world and the new world came into play, and why I believe he's a textbook example of Christ consciousness embodied and soul mission fulfillment. So let me just give you a little bit of background. So a couple of weeks ago, I like knew who Bad Bunny was. I've listened to his music, but I speak a little Spanish, not a ton. Spanish is something I've always like picked up pretty easily, but I didn't like quite understand his music. But he was like, it was like it was like Kathleen, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Okay, I'm not stupid now with my intuition. I know to pay attention when my intuition is telling me to pay attention. So I'm looking at him like online. I'm listening to his music so I can understand a little bit of it. I know people were irritated that he's going to speak Spanish and not English. Some people were, not everybody, obviously, but he was going to speak Spanish and not English. And so I was ready for that. I was ready to just know like what was coming through. So I listened to him. Then the Grammys happened. He won Album of the Year for Grammys. It was the first full Latin speaking album to win Grammy of the Year. So it was very historical in that moment. And I listened to his speech, and in his speech, Ice Out, which I know some people may or may not agree with. And then he said the only thing more powerful is hate than hate is love. We can't hate them more. We can only love ourselves more. We can only love our culture more. We can only love ourselves more to move us through it. Wow, like what a powerful message, right? Like we all need more love. We know that the connection to the quantum, we know that the connection to quantum consciousness is love. It is that divine, it's the highest frequency. I love, I love, I love. I love the life that I know is mine. I love the vision that I see. I love the future opportunities that are coming for me. I just know that it's happening. And so I love it and I express gratitude and happiness and peace and joy because of it. I just know that I know that I know. So the only thing more powerful than hate is love. So then I become like obsessed. Like I have this thing with my intuition that when these things happen, like when I feel like this obsession, I now know to lean into it. Like call it neurodivergence, call it special interest, call it whatever you want. It's always shown me the next door and portal to my expansion. So I always just lean in. So I'm like leaning in. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so funny. His appearances on SNL. He's hot. Like let me go look at all of his Super Bowl. I told my husband I'm 5'9" 5'9", my husband's 6'3". I was like, you're so lucky he's 5'11", because we would really have to talk. And he's like, okay, yeah. Well, he's a superstar. So, okay, Kathleen. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, him and I are connected. So I'm like thinking about all this, and like obviously my content lately has been about Yeshua and Christ consciousness and embodiment, and like, Jesus was sacrificed for saying something different than what he wanted, and sacrificed for like saying something that was different than the societal norms, and but it was powerful. It was intense. It shifted the world in that moment, and he knew going into it that he was going to be crucified for his beliefs, and he did it anyways because he knew how powerful that moment was going to be. He knew what was waiting for him on the other side. And I relate this to every single one of you that has a purpose, that has a power, that has a vision. And every time you work with me and I coach you and you say, well, I'm worried about what people will think, or this is too much money, or this is happening in my life. I don't know I have the time. It's like you are going to be visible in a big way, and it's going to be magnetizing to the people that are meant for you. And yes, because of that visibility, you will have polarity, but it's not going to matter because you love yourself and your mission and your message so much. You can't not do this work. So what's on the other side of that crucifixion is resurrection, is ascension, it's light codes, it's embodied way of being, it's unity, it's wholeness, it's peacefulness. It's amazing. And so right leading up to this Ripple halftime show, I just am like, oh my gosh, people are crucifying him for speaking Spanish, for not doing what they think that it needs to be done, for going outside the norms. They're crucifying him. They're pinning all of their hatred and fear and scarcity and lack and illusions and depravity on him, and he's doing it anyways. He was receiving death threats. Like there's obviously some conspiracy about whether or not he was wearing a bulletproof vest. And so I'm saying all this to a friend of mine, and she's like, "Oh, you need to talk to so and so. They have a similar thing with a different celebrity. Go talk to them." This was a week before the Super Bowl halftime show, right? And so I reach out to them. I said, "Hey, I heard that you're interested in so and so celebrity. Like, oh my gosh, let me tell you what's been going on with me and Bad Bunny." I was like, "Bad Bunny this, Bad Bunny that." It's about, I said a week before, probably about 72 hours before. Bad Bunny, okay, bear with me, guys, okay? I'm a quantum psychic. I connect to the quantum field. I communicate with animals telepathically. I can astral travel. I can remote view. I can speak to my clients. I can call them in from the field if I know they're going to work with me. I am very connected to my psychic intuition, and if you work with me, you will learn how to do all these things. I have developed them and mastered them. I'm one of the best psychics in the world. That's not egoical. It just simply is. I have mastered it all. 72 hours before his performance, he starts communicating with me. Okay. Now, I don't think Bad Bunny knows who I am, but in a higher level of consciousness, our quantum selves are already coordinating with each other, and we're talking with each other all the time. So I have this obsession. Then he comes into me in the quantum field and he's worried. He's afraid. He was scared to do this, but he knew that he had to do it, and he was asking for help. He was asking for support. So I did. I was like tuning in. I was trying to get, his energy clear. I put out like a bat signal to all the other psychic starseeds, quantum people in the world. And I said, hey, he needs our protection. He needs our guidance. And multiple people messaged me and told me what they were doing, what they saw. And every single story was congruent with what I saw. So I'm reaching out to this person. I said, hey, I've heard you want to work with celebrities. Like, I bet Bunny's been coming in. Da, da, da. She said, oh, who is he? I said, oh, well, he's this artist, and this person lives in the UK. And he's this artist, and he's doing this, and he's received death threats. And he was at the Grammys, and somebody tapped his shoulder. Another celebrity tapped his shoulder, and he was so frightened. Like, you could see the fear on his face. And, I just think that we need to protect him and this. Have you ever experienced this? Like, being able to communicate telepathically with somebody that's not, you've never met in the physical, like they don't know you, but you know them. She goes, oh my gosh, yes. Lady Gaga is like that for me. Now, you're watching this post halftime show, okay? We are talking 72 hours before the halftime show, and she doesn't know who he is or who tapped him on the shoulder, okay? She says, Lady Gaga is that for me. And I was like, get out of town. Lady Gaga is who tapped him on the shoulder. And like, you could see the startled reaction. She's like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, I'm not fucking kidding you. That's why we need to talk. So we talk, we tune into his energy. I'm like, okay, he's protected. He is safe. Like he's fine. He's fine. I could tell he was really scared. And then about 12 hours before he would settle down, he was ready. He was ready. I could tell. So then the halftime performance happens. Ugh, ugh, masterpiece, masterpiece, masterpiece. I'm going to be talking about why I believe he's Christ consciousness embodied and why he caused a timeline split within this world. But that does not even cover all the symbolism, all the extravagant details that this artist put into his show. Now, keep in mind, Bad Bunny is on a world tour right now. So the director of this performance had to meet him in the countries he was at to get his vision and put it together. And he was the artist director. He decided everything. Oh God, I could like layers and layers and layers of symbolism, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. Okay? We're going to talk about Christ consciousness embodiment. Feel free to message me and tell me all the other layers you saw because I keep coming up. Today's Thursday, February 12th. We're still talking about it, and the layers are still coming through. So before we get started, this is something I, as an American citizen, did not know about Puerto Rico. I did know that Puerto Rico, St. Thomas, and Santa Martin, they are also U.S. territories. And I knew because I was at St. Thomas probably 2 years ago. I recognized from one of the um, citizens there that they were like, we don't get to vote. And I thought, what? That's insane. Like, I didn't know that. But I did know that, but I didn't know to the extent. So he does the Super Bowl halftime show. I have this crazy wave of emotions hit over me. I cried, like I'm still crying. If I listen to it, I will still cry. I cried all night. I showed my husband. We went to the symbolism. The next morning, I stared out I have these giant windows in my living room and I saw the moon and I felt Mother Earth breathe. It was like he unlocked something for his ancestors, for our ancestors, for indigenous people all over the world and the Americas that he could breathe. Now, I'm not claiming like that I'm Latin American. I do know that I have indigenous blood in me. I don't know how much Native American blood. I don't know. But I felt it. I felt Mother Earth breathe. I felt her breathe. The release of that those ties, the ties of that bind us to pain and torture and not being seen and not being acknowledged. It's just like, oh, it was just so beautiful. So I cried and I cried and I cried. And, I'm all about soul mission and purpose, and I'll just share the story with you. I do not talk to my kids about really what I do. I kind of tell them I help people. They knew I was a nurse practitioner that helped people. They know that I help people at home just really be their happiest selves. We don't really like talk about quantum or time travel or things like that. They do naturally because they are telepathic and they've been working on their telepathic skills, which I've nurtured. But we don't talk about soul purpose, embodiment, and Christ consciousness. So I was crying like on the way to school, and I was trying to like calm it down, and they were like, "Why are you crying?" And then I thought, you know what? No, I need my boys to witness like tears and to know it's okay to be happy and express yourself. And I said, I'm crying because it was so Bad Bunny did this performance and it was so beautiful and he was so brave. And I love listening to it. And they were like, he was brave. And I said, yeah, some people didn't want him to do it, but he did it anyways. Like it was so brave. And all I can hope is that you're that brave to do whatever you want to do in this world. Like you are that powerful. You're brave and it's brave when you do hard things, even if people think that you shouldn't. And my 7-year-old says to me, he said, Mom, I think it was actually his soul that was brave. Oh my God, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, what? Like, we don't talk about this stuff. We don't talk about soul embodiment and purpose. I even asked him, like, who ever talked to you about a soul? He said, I don't know. I just kind of knew that you have one. Okay, great, great. We love these enlightened leaders that are being born into this world now. So this is what I believe. Like, I believe we were all born with a purpose. I believe our soul came here with a mission. If you've been here for any amount of time, you know that I talk about this frequently and with gusto, that we were all born with a purpose and we were born in a specific situation with a specific family, with a specific set of problems that we get to move ourselves through to own our vision, to own our purpose, to become the person that we're meant to be in this world. And it's through that pain, through that transmutation of all the things that we feel like are limiting us or are blocking us, that we step into the version of ourselves that is the most powerful, the most free, the most us we could ever be, authentically ourselves. And in that authenticity, that's the fulfillment of your soul mission. Everything that's happened to you hasn't happened to you, it's happened for you. And it doesn't have anything to do with you, really. It has everything to do with the people that you're meant to help in this world. So before we get started, we need a little history lesson. Puerto Rico was made a U.S. territory in 1898, but in 1917, it was with the 64th Congress, they were granted citizenship. Now, why was there a gap between the 1898 and the 1917? Well, guess what? That was right before World War One. So they were able to now draft Puerto Rican citizens into war. So there were approximately 20,000 Puerto Ricans that served in World War One and then 65,000 in World War Two. I mean, that's crazy, right? Like, okay. Why, despite their citizenship and their ability to be drafted, they cannot vote. They don't have a vote. I think they have one sitting Congress member, and two senators, and they're not able to vote or change. So, they're not allowed, they have to abide by our laws. They have to abide by the laws of the Jones Act, which actually increases um the taxes on them, not tax, yeah, it's like I think the burden is like $200 per person per year because they have to use US transportation to receive supplies and resources, even if other transportation is available and cheaper, or other shipping containers are available and cheaper, because it's like an exclusive contract, so they have to pay for that. So in the 1930s, this is another thing that happened to Puerto Rican citizens. There was a collaboration between the US and the Puerto Rican government, which, from what I've heard, and again, I'm not a citizen, I'm not there, is corrupt. And they went underway to combat poverty through medical sterilization without consent. So by the 1960s, a third of the women in Puerto Rico were medically sterilized and used against their will or against their knowledge as research for the birth control pill. Now, if you go back and look, you can see how, like, I'm medical, so I get it. They did not like give an option for translation. The man decided with the doctor what was to be done, because that's where women's rights were at the time. And it was called La Aparición, and it was supposed to, they would literally like say it was to improve quality of life and to help with periods. And then they would perform like like your tubes being tied, or hysterectomy. And they didn't know, or they were given a consent form. It was in English and they spoke Spanish. It was an absolute violation of ethics, of like medical ethics, humanity ethics. Like, oh, horrible. So another thing, Puerto Rico has tax loopholes to attract wealthy citizens. So wealthy people come in, they gentrify, they exploit, they, take all the resources, and then they redirect power to these places of residency. So that leaves native citizens without power. They're constantly experiencing rolling blackouts from a failing power grid. The priority goes to those who pay the most. And so they send it there, and then they don't have clean water. They don't have electricity. It's very common to keep like buckets of water so that you have water when the water fails, or to just know that you're not going to have electricity that day. It's just a crazy system. Meanwhile, the wealthy people that move in that are not native, they always have power, or at least they have it way more than the native people do. So why is all this relevant? And like we'll get to it because it's part of a show, right? In 2017, Hurricane Maria caused devastation on the island, and FEMA eventually did respond to Puerto Rico, but it received around $6 million in aid, which is probably a fraction of the funding that we've given to U.S. Territories. Like Texas and Florida, I think received around 100 million for two other different hurricanes. And the supplies that are given, it takes like up to 2 weeks to arrive. So if you have no water, no electricity, no food, no imports coming in, you have no medical supplies to help people that have been severely affected, dehydration. Yeah, people die. They die because they don't have these resources, and we are supposed to give aid to them, and it takes forever. There's a lot of talk about why this happens, but this is not just to Trump's administration, but because Trump's administration was in office at the time, they blocked the aid because they were concerned about where it was going to go. So they didn't trust the Puerto Rican government to take the aid and utilize it as needed. They just were like, well, let's just wait to make sure that we can get down there and do it the way that it needs to be done. The US said that 64 people had died. That was the official statement. But the numbers show that 2,000 plus people died at the devastation caused and in the delays from the aid getting them. $69 billion has been approved to be given to Puerto Rico to update their power grid 2 years ago. But it hasn't arrived because they are concerned about where it's going to go. Again, they don't trust the government that's there to take these funds and put them towards what they want it to go to. But then there's no crossover or infiltration or discussion about how that's going to go. It's all just a wait and see kind of game. Meanwhile, they don't have electricity. They don't have power. And again, the Congress members and Senate, the Congress member, excuse me, one Congress member and the two senators do not get to vote. They get to go, but they don't get to vote. Do you see it? Like, let's just take a minute here to just, I'm not saying I have the answers. I'm not saying, because then people are like, okay, well, free them. Like, freedom's not good. Or, well, what are they going to do without it? It's like, I don't know the answers. I'm not saying we can go back in time and fix that, but like, as a humanitarian crisis, let's just look at the ethics about this. Okay. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, one more thing I want to point out, just a fact about Puerto Rico, is that Puerto Rican Spanish sounds a little bit different than, say, Mexican Spanish or Guatemalan Spanish. Some people have a little trouble understanding Bad Bunny, but after they adjust, they do fine. It just takes a little bit to understand like what he's saying, because if you're a native Spanish speaker, it still can sound a little different. They talk a lot in Puerto Rican slang. Normal. That's a normal geographical thing. Okay? So that's about Puerto Rico. Let's talk about Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny gets a lot of hate because he's got all these songs about, partying and, graphic sexual exploitation or whatever. And just as we go through this, just as a reminder, Bad Bunny 10 years ago was, or his name is Benito. Benito 10 years ago was bagging groceries at a grocery store, okay? And now he's a six-time Grammy winner and the Super Bowl halftime show performer. He has grown up in front of the crowd. He's just coming out of his Saturn return too. So he's going to turn 32 in March. He's a Pisces. He has grown up and like had to find himself through all of this. And as a reminder, all of us are 100% divine and 100% human. Jesus was 100% divine and 100% human. A lot of conversation that is happening around the feminine awakening and embodiment is that Mary Magdalene is now a part of the discussion. Well, Catholicism or Christianity doesn't like that. Religion doesn't like that. And to talk about how Jesus had a female counterpart that he did have sex with, they went into divine union because then you have to admit that he had sex, and apparently sex is bad. But sex is inherently human. Being a sexual being is inherently human. So Jesus himself was 100% human and 100% divine. All of us are. All of us are. So all the hate that he's gotten around this, like just as a reminder, like humans are learning and evolving and making mistakes. And it's what we choose to do with these situations that we've been put in and encounter and how we move through them that determines where our life trajectory goes. It does not define us. Every time you make a quote unquote mistake, it does not define you. You learn from your lessons and you move on. You learn from the situation you've been put in and you move on and you transmute that situation into wisdom, into power. So slowly but surely, he gained a following. He never switched record labels, by the way. He only stayed with his Puerto Rican label. He never created an English-based album. This is something that a lot of Latin American singers and musicians get into because they need to break into, quote unquote, the Anglo market. And as he rose in popularity, he was a firm believer. Like, I speak Puerto Rican Spanish. I'm a believer in my country, my language, my roots. This is just who I am. He didn't know how to speak English. He's learned to in the last couple of years to be able to be interviewed, but he's never ever ever changed the language that he's singing. And why should he and why would he? He's brilliant. If you listen to these songs in Spanish and then you listen to them in English, like it sounds better in Spanish. Like other languages exist. It's okay. So in 2018, he established his nonprofit in Puerto Rico called Good Bunny. Its focus is on raising money and creating spaces for youth of Puerto Rico to focus on arts, education, and sports. It's huge. I think they also make instruments, and those instruments are portrayed in all of his music videos. Just kind of a fun fact. In 2020 and 2021, he also was in the halftime show. He was with Cardi B and J Balvin for I Like It Like That. He admitted at that time, it's around COVID, that he was struggling with his mental health, and this comes up later, but he attributes Lady Gaga's album at the time to helping him through that dark period of his life. Also, his family, his friends, his love for his country. Um, this was around the time that he also, well, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but yeah, it's huge, right? So he gets big. He's in Super Bowl. Like this is 2020. He gets big. He's in the Super Bowl. He's got some really like top hits. Like Titi Me Pregunto was huge. I think it's the Verano. Banana and Tea, Summer with You, Banana con Tea. That was an album that he put out that was incredible. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it. I should be more prepared, but again, I got a lot going on here. He decided to not, so he's like at the height of like his fame, like he's about to blow up. And then he decides to not tour in the US because he did not want ICE present at his shows, okay? So he established a residency in Puerto Rico that was estimated to bring in, I think, like $700 million dollars to his country. And it wasn't like a small residency. Like he kept the ticket prices for Puerto Rican residents like low because he wanted the native people to be able to go to a show. And then people flew out to him, like celebrities, high A-list celebrities came to see him because he's like, no, I'm not going there. You can come to me. And guess what? They did. He has set the standard. No, you can come to me. This is good enough for me. It's good enough for you. I'm not going to go to a country where my people aren't welcome and there may be some racism going on. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come here. It's my home. It's his home. How fucking incredible is that, right? So his latest album that won Grammy of the Album of the Year with Debbie Taramas Fotos, he described as being his purpose because after this mental health struggle, after this like wave of popularity and fame, he looked around at everything he was doing in his life and he was like, what's the point? Right? This is right before his Saturn return, or right like at the beginning of it. He's like, well, what is the point of all the money, of all the influence, of all the platforms, of all the invitations, of all the people that I know in these high level positions? What is the point? If not to make an impact, if not to give back to the purpose that I feel is important to me, the thing that I know best. This is his sole mission, right? He was born in Puerto Rico, a place that was exploited, a place that was, his ancestors have been enslaved, sterilized, not given aid, not given a full opportunity, not given the chance to vote, not given, claimed, by the way, colonialism claimed by the US, and then not given an opportunity to be themselves. He loves this country. He loves his country. He loves his land. And he has chosen over and over and over to speak in his native language, to establish residency where he is, to give back to his people. And now he has wealth and fame. And he says, now what? And he creates Debbie Ramos Fotos, which, if you listen to the album, is about fun, family, love, gentrification. It's about knowing who you are, who are the people around you, and how you're going to live your life. Debí tirar más fotos, debí tirar más fotos, más besos, más brazos. It's like, I should have taken more photos when I was with you. I should have given more kisses. I should have given more hugs. And it's like, you could sing that song to anybody. You could sing it to the love of your life. You could sing it to your ancestors. I'm going to cry. You could sing it to generations behind you. This is his purpose, guys. This is who he was born for. This is his life's work. So he gets asked to perform at the Super Bowl. And he says yes. And they ask him to change his language. They ask him to go to English. He says, no, I'm not doing. No, I speak Spanish. Again, back to who he is. He is so truly authentically himself. No, I speak Spanish. My songs are in Spanish. They've been good enough for the world. They've been good enough for everybody who came to my residency, and they'll be good enough for America. Now, America, North America, or United States, excuse me, had a hard time with this. Like, I didn't. I know a lot of people didn't, but a lot of people did. So much so that they created another halftime show. Now, Turning Point USA's halftime show, not it may not have even been directly Bad Bunny. I know for years and years and years, there's been just like, I don't want to watch that. I don't want my kids exposed to that. That's incredible and amazing. And if they don't want that, they don't have to have it, right? They don't have to watch this. They can watch something else. So we're gonna leave Turning Point out of it and understand that even though there might be some nefarious energy behind there, there also might be some omnipotent energy. There might be some good energy. We're just going to give them the benefit of the doubt for that, right? So they make another halftime show. There are people who don't want to watch that. That's fine. Now, my beef with that is it's like, it's okay. You can say you don't want to watch it for profanity, but don't say it's because it, like, the people who are saying, well, I just want it to be in English. It's like, okay, well, maybe we need to get like culture shift here, right? Like, are we saying this because we just don't want exposure to bad, or or to twerking or whatever? Or are we saying it because I'm not willing to expand my worldview that there are other people out there? But that's, listen to this, take, this is free. So take what you want and take, give back what you don't. There are so many things, like I see the world in layers and frequencies. I've always done this in medicine too. Like there's so many different places where we have to meet people at. Like my goal is to always unite and to give back into oneness and love and light, etc. I'm not saying that the bad doesn't exist. I'm saying that when we choose the unity over the darkness, then we will be more one. We'll be more together. And we'll get into that because this podcast keeps going. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about this. And if you've read my series on Instagram and you're just watching me expand on this, like, don't worry. I'm gonna keep going. So, okay, it starts. The halftime show starts. He's decided. He's gone to his roots. He's gone to his purpose. He knows exactly who he is and what he's here for. He has claimed that he will be crucified. He's going to be crucified for this. People are crucifying him and saying that he should speak English and what is he doing and who is he? Send him back to his country, not knowing the entire time that Puerto Rico is he is a U.S. citizen. He is somebody that we have U.S. citizens that speak different languages. It wasn't until Trump declared like months ago that English is the official language. Like we've never had an official language. That's the whole point of America is that we're a melting pot of people. We are all one. We are all humans. We are living on indigenous land. And now we can't go back, but we can decide to be one and human together. So at the very beginning, he introduces himself by his full name. Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio rather than Bad Bunny, okay? And he opens with the song Tite Me Pregunto in the sugarcane fields. Now, sugarcane was the first exploitation of all of Latin America. Sugar was I could go on and talk about sugarcane, but and if you can, but slavery and exploitation of the sugarcane fields was so incredible. They have more people working the sugarcane fields than they did immigrants, like imperialist and European immigrants that came here to control the slave trade. It's just an incredible history, but this was the history of Puerto Rico and all of those other islands. I'm sorry, I'm not being correct, but just bear with me. My heart is pure. So Tite Me Pregunto is one of his most popular songs, and it was responsible for his rise to fame. But the lyrics are really misunderstood because it kind of says like, "Oh yeah, I'm like loose and fast, and I sleep with all these people." But really, in that culture, it's like get married, get married, get married, get married, and he's like, I don't want to, I don't know, like I'm rejecting marriage, pero no hay boda, no, but no wedding. I'm rejecting marriage because I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But even though like what was expected of him by his family, he just chose not to. He's like, oh, you want me to settle down? But he famously says like, yo hago lo que me le dé la gana. So I do whatever I want. He says that all the time. But he's showing himself first to the audience of what is expecting of him. They expect him to be a singer. They expect him to sing Tita Mercundo. They expect him to be fast and promiscuous. They expect him to be all these crazy things, right? But he's doing it under the visual of his real name. He never introduced himself as Bad Bunny. He introduced himself as Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. He did it the whole time. He never said Bad Bunny. So he's singing his familiar song in a sugarcane field, the roots of his country. Do you see this like layering he's doing? He's saying, this is what was expected of me, but this is really who I am. Buckle up. This is the exploitation of Puerto Rico. This is my roots. This is my country. This is who I stand for. So during this initial song, he has several nods to his culture. So there's the dominoes, the nail salon, the coconuts. There's the I don't remember what it's called, the drink. There's the women who were standing by the cinder blocks because women were rebuilding this country while the Puerto Ricans men were sent to war. Everyone is, including Benito, is in white, and he is wearing on a jersey with the number 64 on it and Ocasio on the back. So now in his culture, the maternal name and his mother, that's his maternal name. So typically in the culture, it would be Martinez Ocasio, like that's your last name, but he drops Martinez, it's just Ocasio, and then he has 64. His mother was born in 1964. I think his uncle was as well, because I think he said that after the fact, like I wish I could have always taken my uncle to the Super Bowl. But to me, the Ocasio 64, we're giving a nod to the matriarchy. We're giving a nod to the women that were sterilized. We're giving a nod to the people that raised him. But if you think back to the earlier part of this podcast, in the 64th Congress in Puerto Rico, that was when in 1917, that's when Puerto Rico was granted citizenship by the United States, and they were able to be drafted into war. And with Hurricane Maria, the U.S. state that the death toll was 64, but it was actually 2,000. So all this history just in his opening thing and with one statement. He made that with one piece of fabric. He's very layered. He's very in frequency. So he does this introduction, and then we go to this casita. So the casita was a roof, and then the house where, Pedro Pascal was on the bottom, and Cardi B and Jessica Alba, and some other people that I don't know who they are and or why they were there. I know who they are, I don't know why they were there. But you can see that this is the same as what he did in Puerto Rico. So this is his stage. He rises to the top. Okay, he's at the top. He comes up from the bottom to the top. And in the middle of his dancing, the floor falls out from under him. This to me, I think, is a nod to his 2020, 2021 mental health issues. He rises top, the floor falls out underneath him. But that's okay because he busts through the door and says, "You're not going to make me this Latin singer that is this way or does this. I'm claiming who I am." And he is surrounded by his musical friends and family. And he gets on top of the truck with everyone dancing around him again. Again, this is a nod to his past self and his fluid sexuality and finding himself through music. A lot of times people ask him about his sexual preference or like what, and he's like, I don't know who I'm gonna love in 20 years. Why do I have to decide who I am now? For now, I like women, but who knows? And like, how fucking refreshing is that? It's just I love that. Like we don't have to decide. Just everybody just chill out. Chill out. Why are we defining people? So why is it so important for you to know? So, he's nodding to this and he has been like a somebody that's just always expressed his self through his dress and through his clothing and through his music and everything else. So this to me was his nod again to his past self and his fluid sexuality. So then we're taking to this moment. Oh, it's so beautiful. I'm going to do my best not to butcher this in Spanish, but it just mm, Mi nombre es Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. Sí, hoy estoy aquí en el Super Bowl. Yo no sé cómo decirlo. Sienta, es porque nunca dejé de creerme. Tú también debieras de creer en ti. Vales más de lo que piensas. Confía en mí. My name, and I'm not saying that Puerto Rican because he drops his S's and I can't. My name is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. And if I'm here today at Super Bowl 60, it's because I never stopped believing in myself. You should also believe in yourself. You're worth more than you think. Trust me. So if you notice at this moment, there's violence. It's so powerful, so powerful. And we're going to go back to that moment. But the conductor he's conducting the violence and he's wearing a red hibiscus flower on his jacket. Somebody's corrected me and told me it's not hibiscus, but to me, it's hibiscus. And that is what is important for this translation or for this interpretation. So then we go to the wedding. There's a real wedding at the Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? The divine masculine and divine feminine moving into unity within. You see it right there. Divine masculine, divine feminine. That is the preparation work for what comes next. Divine union. Cut to Lady Gaga. Okay. Now, Lady Gaga was a contentious pick. We'll get into why he picked her. But it was I think he said something in Spanish along the lines of like, all right, give them what they want. And it was like an English speaking artist. But it's more than that. There's so much more than that. So Lady Gaga was the woman whose album helped him in his mental health crisis. And she is wearing a hibiscus flower. Hibiscus is a symbol of transformation and divine feminine. So they begin to dance together at this wedding. Everyone is in white. We have union, alchemy, transformation. Now, at the time, I didn't put this in my original thing. I made a post after it, but at the time, she looked like Lady Guadalupe to me. I didn't really recognize it. I knew that the Green Day singer at the beginning was also wearing a Guadalupe necklace. But I was like, I know it's kind of people are mad that she's white, so I'm just not going to do it. And jokes on me, I should have, paid attention because Lady Guadalupe is the patron saint of the Americas. All of them. All of us. The whole thing, right? So that moment where they were dancing it was a reminder of her presence in Americas and the matriarchy. But his dance with death, because as Lady Gaga helped him survive his mental health struggles and remember what it was all for. So we have divine union within, masculine, feminine parts of himself, not being defined by somebody else's interpretation of him. Alchemy, transformation, this is what it's all for. He never gave up on himself. Never. Then we see his younger self watching the Grammy acceptance speech. I think there's like a picture of him as a young boy, and they put him in like the same shirt. And he won the Grammy of the year, and he gives this child the Grammy. And it's like a nod to inner child work and loving all parts of yourself that got you to this moment. Then he falls into his community. He's dancing, he's with culture, he's at the bodega. The bar that he went to, the woman that was serving at the bar, I don't know if you know this, there was actually a bar that he like saved with his fundraising after Hurricane Maria, and he became close with her. And then he flew her out to be in the Super Bowl show. It's just so beautiful. So he fell into his community. He knew what it was all for. He had divine union. He did his inner child work. He never gave up on himself, and he surrendered to his community and immersed himself in the work that he was meant to do in this world. It is through the dark and claiming his legacy that has led him to this moment. Do you see this? This is oracle work. This is Christ consciousness work. This is embodiment of who you are. At this moment, he knows exactly who he is. He is through the dark and he is claiming his life's work. Then we get to Ricky Martin. So, Ricky Martin, what I put in the thing, it's like he walked so Benito could run, right? Like he did the work so that he could come, so Benito could come in and do his full album. So Ricky Martin did speak English, and he was probably the first like really famous like Spanish speaking musician that made an album that like rose to the top. So I always say he walks so Benito could run. But he really laid the foundation for Benito to say, no, you can like the music the way I do it in my language. So this is Benito's mission. This is understanding it like this is who he's here for. He wasn't doing what someone else did. He was claiming his own life, his own path, his own legacy. As hard as it was, he knew that that was important to him and his roots and his soul mission. So Ricky sang Benito's song Lo que le pasó a Hawaii, which is a song by Benito, Bad Bunny, which highlights the issue of gentrification and colonization. So how beautiful is it that Ricky got to do that and sing his song, Benito's song, about gentrification in Spanish? Like he didn't have to sing in English. Like God, it's so amazing for him. So now we see like we're like he's giving a nod to his to people who have gone before him. He's giving a nod to his culture. He's giving a nod to his heritage. Benito knows what he is here to do and is here to stand as a symbol for his people and the problems they face from colonization and gentrification exploitation, no matter who hates him for it. The symbolism in this show, it should be studied. I hope they do a show on it. Again, we're going through the arc of the darkness, the union, the alchemy, the transformation, the soul embodiment, the purpose. This is what I'm here to do. Hate me for it. I have to do it. It's what I was born for. Everything has worked out for me to be here in this moment. This is what he was born for. So the next scene is the power lines, which I had a heart attack because remember, I was like worried about his safety and I see this explosion. I was like, oh my God. So you see in the power lines, there was multi layers here, but it shows how poorly Puerto Rico's power grid, we talked about this earlier, is from the exploitation and how it still hasn't recovered from the hurricanes because the FEMA funds are being withheld by our government because they don't trust Puerto Rico's government to do what it needs to be done. So who suffers at this? Who suffers at this tug of war between power, between the elite, quote unquote? It is the people. The people are suffering. With no voting rights, again, Puerto Rico has no control over this, and they're at the hands of a government that doesn't believe them responsible enough to handle it. But if you look at the power lines, like this already is symbolism within itself, right? You look at the power lines. When the dancers are on them, they look like three crosses. They do. There's three crosses. Benito climbs up on the fourth. His arms are outstretched in all white, Christ consciousness embodied for his mission, his purpose, his country, his people. He knew that he will be crucified for this, and he did it anyways because his soul mission is so important. It's something he can't not do. He has to do it. It's what he was born for. What is all the money for? What is all this fame for? What is all the time for? What is this for, if not for what I believe in, for what I stand in, and what only I can do? I'm the only one who has won Grammy Album of the Year singing a Latin American album in Spanish. I'm the only one who's done that. I'm the only one who can do this. I'm the only one who was born in Puerto Rico. I'm the only one who went through the mental health struggles. I'm the only one who experienced all of these things. And only I can stand for what I believe in Puerto Rico. This is soul mission. He received multiple death threats after he was announced from the NFL that he would be headlining the Super Bowl show, excuse me. He was told to go back to his country, that he wasn't welcome here. Our president, the US president, told him he was a disgrace. So an organization created the TPOC Turning Point created an entire event in opposition of him because they didn't understand his language, nor did they care to learn it. Now, again, I highlighted it before. It could have just been the moment they decided to do it. It felt a little on the nose for me. It was like, well, this is the final straw. We could have done it last year. Well, that would have been racist too. But I'm not saying I'd actually, let's not even like bring Turning Point into it. If people want an alternative halftime show, it's fine. It just seemed like there was so much hatred against him because the fact that he spoke Spanish, like, what's the problem? But wait, remember, like he's a citizen, right? So why are people saying this? He was asked to change his language. He was asked to perform in English by the NFL. In his contract, he said, if you want this, you have to do this. And he refused. He refused. How how strong would any of us be to be in that position? Truly, to be one of the best musicians in the world, to not know that he was going to win Grammy Album of the Year, to know that the Super Bowl was a huge exposure event, and to turn it down at cost and say, I would love to do this, but I won't change that about me, knowing that it's huge, knowing that people are not going to like that. He stood by his value and his truth. He stood by exactly who he is. This was his music. This is his soul. This is his dedication to his people. He was hated for what he was most good at by a country that claims to take care of him as a citizen. He was crucified for being himself, and he willingly walked to his crucifixion because he knew what was waiting for him and for others on the other side. He has famously said this entire time, this has nothing to do with me and everything to do with the people that are going to get a positive thing for this. Like not just Puerto Rican, like for all of Latin American, Hispanic speaking American, or Spanish speaking American, excuse me. I do not mean to say these wrong. I'm doing my absolute best here. He did it because he knew it wasn't about him. Oh, I just could cry. I cry about this all the time because he knew that standing in his power, in his brilliance, in his consciousness, in who he was, that others would be activated and motivated to move into their power and their purpose. This is the ascension of the human race. This is what I mean when I talk about your soul purpose. This is what I mean when I talk about Christ consciousness, embodiment of who you are, alignment with your vision, alignment with your soul, moving in frequency with the vision that calls you because you can't not do this work. It keeps you up at night. It keeps you awake. It keeps you hungry. It keeps you yearning and striving for what you already know is yours. This is Christ consciousness embodied. This is oracle work, and it is present in every single one of us. Every single one of us was born with a mission, was born with a purpose, was born with something our soul decided on before we were ever born. And we decided our family, and we decided what time, and we decided the zodiac location so we could have the gifts needed to empower us and step us up into our purpose and vision. Because when we stand in our power, when we stand in our brilliance, in our one mission, aligned, completely, no matter what, the only way that we will change the world. You will change the world doing the work that only you can do. You are the only one who can do what you do in the way that you do it. There is only one you, and you have soul contracts and agreements with the people that you're meant to work with in this world. You have soul contracts with people that are waiting for you to move into that alignment, to move into that unity, to have the divine masculine feminine union within, to work with God consciousness, to work with the quantum field, and to be so grounded and rooted in who you are. All parts of you become one to have it all. This is your mission. So despite the hatred, despite the intensity and tension that he experienced, the law of polarity works this way because the more people that showed up and said they hated him or they caused division or whatever it was, the more people that wanted to minimize his existence and minimize him impact because it made them feel inferior. Because truthfully, that's what it is. Whenever you have anybody saying this, that, or they think they're all that, or who do they think they are, blah, 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 blah. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. It's a mirror. It's a mirror of themselves. Like, where are they feeling inferior? Where are they not embodying themselves? Where do they feel unconscious or self-conscious that they're not doing that? The millions of people who did that, there were millions more who loved him for it, who need him, who needed him to show up. Do you know how many videos I watched of Latin American families, grandmas, especially abuelas, crying, crying their eyes out because for the first time they saw somebody represent them on the television. They needed to see somebody in this position with their skin color speaking this language to know that it is possible for them too. And of course, last but not least, to be hated and shunned by a country that continually rejects your existence, that claims that your life is not as valuable as others and minimizes your potential and power. Benito still does not insist on more hate. He strives for love, for unity, for peace, reminding us all that we are all one in this America. We are all one together because you are one of one. There's only one you that can do what you do and the way that you do it, and everything that's happened to you hasn't happened to you. It's happened for you, and it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the people that you're meant to help in this world. And the more people that stand in their oneness, that stand in their brilliance and unity and power within and show up as themselves authentically as they were always meant to, the more and more people will be activated. This is ascension. This is what we're born for. We can't go back and stop colonialism. We can't. We can't stop imperialism. We can't stop slavery. We can't stop it. It's already happened. It fucking sucked. It still sucks. The ramifications of that will be felt for the rest of our lives. And it's not my life, right? I'm fucking white. Now, I do have indigenous blood, but that's why I feel like I feel so powerfully about this. But I'm white. Okay, there are people in this world that have experienced racism, experience it every single day, and it's not their job to educate us on how to be an ally, to how to show up for ourselves or how to help them. And maybe they don't want to be helped. I mean, again, I'm doing my best here, okay? I'm just an oracle. This message was given to me. I'm meant to share it with you. But we can acknowledge that this world was created on the backs and lives of people that we claim we can't understand. We can remember that we're all human and that we are all one. Puerto Rican Spanish sounds different than Mexican Spanish because it's indigenous to that country. Just like Guatemalan Spanish sounds different, or Bolivia or Argentina, it sounds different because it's specific to that country. We've nearly wiped out indigenous language in the North America, thanks to our government. We've not even acknowledged it. The Trail of Tears, like I did not even learn about that in school. Well, I was homeschooled, so that's, I mean, my mom was just trying to keep me protected, but I didn't learn about it until I was an adult. We've nearly wiped that out. It sounds different than other types of Spanish in different places because it's indigenous to that country. Just like, Spanish in Spain sounds different. It's indigenous to that country. We are all living on indigenous land, and it's time to stop pretending that we aren't. At the end, he names every single country in the Americas, North and South. I've seen some funny reels. It's like, oh, me, where am I from? Canada, Ontario, our little snow Latinos. And he says United States instead of Los Estados Unidos because he wanted you to hear. For the people that said they couldn't understand him, he's like, fine, understand this. I'm saying you too. You're included. We are included in this America, in the Americas. He wanted you to hear. He wanted you to understand that you are not separate from this love. You are not separate from being human. We, the US, the United States, we're not separate from anything. We are all one. We are all humans. We are all together. We are not separate from each other despite our differences. The only power stronger than hate is love. Now, I have a lot of friends that see differently than me politically. And for a long time, I was like, I don't know how I can be friends with these people. I mean, I don't know how I can hold space for their opinion when I feel so strongly about mine. And something one of my friends said to me was like, at the end of the day, I know, and she's different politically than me. At the end of the day, I know that we all are viewing it from our lens of perception. We all want a better world, and maybe we're not right. Maybe neither of us are correct, but I can connect with somebody knowing that I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it's what I believe is right. It's what I believe is correct. And I can be proven wrong and things can change, but at this moment, at this time, that's what I believe, and I want the best for my family, and I want the best for the world, and that's what I believe. And I'm not asking for your opinion on that. Please don't come to me and tell me, well, no, I'm wrong. I'm asking you to look at this world through a lens of unity, to look at it through soul embodiment, purpose, and vision, to look at it from a place of I was born to be myself, to change the world. Now, this message, his halftime show, I will discuss for the rest of my life. I really will. And I think he's so incredible. And I hope one day we meet. The only other person I was as obsessed with about is Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote Hamilton. And I didn't know, like, I didn't know any of this, but they're both like from Puerto Rico. They're both Puerto Rican natives. And so I don't know what that is for me there. Maybe I need to get a DNA test done. Maybe there's something in there in Puerto Rico for me. But what I know is that we are one, we are human. The only thing stronger than hate is love, which is the message that Jesus taught. And it's who I speak with daily, it's who I channel. It's who wants you to know that you're as powerful as you think you are. It's the one who wants you to know that you have the vision. You can manifest. Magic and miracles are your birthright. You are able, he said it. He said it in the Bible. You will do such works as these and greater. Because when you acknowledge your power, when you acknowledge your mission, when you acknowledge who you are, your life will change. At that moment, I believe the world experienced the split into the new world, the new earth, and the old earth. And we've been talking about this for a while, and I think some people have talked about it in terms of like, oh, there's going to be an alien invasion, and we're going to actually have a new Earth, and the old Earth is going to actually die, and then we'll have a new, like, no, it's not that. It is a state of mind. It is a state of being. Do you believe in love and unity? Can you see beyond your perception of reality? And choose light and love and choose soul embodiment and choose purpose and know that even if people are going to hate you for it, even if you're going to be crucified for your vision, that you are going to be in alignment with exactly what your purpose is in this world because we all have one. Or are you going to choose fear, hate, lack, scarcity? Because what I saw is I saw people who were absolutely blown away, in love with this performance. And then like me, then I saw people who are I'm one of the Republican congressmen like I'm initiating a full investigation, open this up to the FCC. How dare he? It was disgusting. You know, Trump called it an abomination, division, etc. And again, that is their lens of perception, and that's fine. I don't agree with it. I don't believe that that's the case, but I'm viewing it from my lens of perception, which is light, love, soul embodiment, humanity's mission to ascension. Sometimes when we talk about light and love and happiness and soul embodiment and mission, people will accuse me of not addressing the hatred and fear in this world. And I have done that in the past, and I'll tell you, it didn't really feel good. Because if you need my opinion to surrender to your mission, if you need my opinion or forcing my martyrdom for you to trust the mission that I'm holding, then I'm not for you. There is evil in this world. This doesn't even touch the whole Epstein files that just blew up. Okay, that's a whole other podcast episode. But when I always go back to either a minor problem in my life or a big one like this, I go back to what can I do about it? What can I do about it? Because thinking about it and spiraling and anger and fear and lack and scarcity and division, that is only going to cause more of those things. Where your energy goes, your focus goes. Where your focus goes, your energy goes. That will amplify. Where your focus goes, your energy is amplified. It does not serve me to spend time calling out injustices when I can spend my time, my limited time, serving you as the goalpost that where you need to go. Showing you what's possible for you, showing how if you stand it in your mission, if you stood in your mission, if you stood in your purpose, if you stood in your power and said, fuck it, to all the perceived lack and limitations and illusions that are clouding your vision, despite all these things that your brain is creating to keep you safe and familiar, and said, no, I'm claiming my vision, I'm claiming my purpose, I'm claiming my power, I can see it, I know that it's done. The more time I spend devoted to that, the more time we're going to get you seen, heard, and paid for your work. And I need more energetically aligned leaders in positions of power and wealth to change the world. I'm not here to focus and divide. I'm here to get you to unity. I'm here to get you to peace. I'm here to get you to soul mission embodiment where you truly have it all. Everything that you don't have is an illusion and it is keeping you from where you need to go. And the more and more we can get you into unity, get you into peace, get you into wholeness, get you into soul mission fulfillment, the more and more the people that are meant to work with you will find you. It is a frequency. And that will change the world more than my words about what I believe is right and wrong ever will. Benito gave a powerful, powerful lesson on Super Bowl Sunday. It's one that I hope, even if you listen to this and don't believe, or even if at the beginning of this you're like, I don't really want to listen to this, I didn't really like it, da 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 da, you understand where I'm going with this, where the thread is, or how I saw this, what my thoughts were. He gave us a powerful lesson. And when he said, I believe in you. You're worth more than you think. I'm here because I never, never gave up on myself. I hope that you take those words, you understand them, you feel them, and you recognize that he did that to, I don't know, 400 million. I mean, we said it was like 133 million that viewed the halftime show, but of course, people are watching it afterwards. They're listening to the recordings. There's podcasts like this, there's content going on. How many millions of people saw that and took that message to heart? And I hope you took it to heart. And I hope you're ready to step into your purpose. You're ready to accept your destiny. I hope you're ready to claim who you are. Your manifestation is done. Your vision is done. All of the signs and synchronicities that you receive of if and when and where and how to take steps into alignment. It is not just the universe talking to you. It is future you talking to you. Future you is showing you where to go because you are the universe. The entire power of the universe, creation source potential exists in you. All you have to do is learn how to access it, to trust yourself enough to access it, to connect with yourself, divine feminine, masculine, quantum God self manifestation, and rooted to Mother Earth as a physical vessel through which this energy and mission could flow through. That is your purpose. That is your mission. Become one to have it all. You're the oracle. Okay, I think that's it. I could just talk about this forever. I'm sure there'll be a part two. As I said before, Super Creator is open for enrollment. It is a 4-month quantum transformation program to do exactly that, to be yourself, to own all parts of yourself, to lean into the mission that calls to you. The one that when you look up at the stars, you feel this ache in your chest, your bones vibrate in remembrance, and your blood comes to the surface, asking you to pay attention to where you're going. You're very smart. You're very incredible. There's something that you can do that only you can do in the way that you do it. And when you acknowledge that and move into that vision and allow your frequencies to align with the frequency of the vision that's done in the quantum field, it will drop into your physical reality so quick. The only thing that you'll be able to call it is a miracle. You are the miracle. Super Creator is that long because we go through all of this. We go through your unique gene keys, the things that you have only that your DNA is meant to be activated. We go through light language. We have the social media templates, quantum marketing strategy, everything you need. The activation to pull your signature method out of you because you may not even know what it is. You just may know that you're born with a purpose. You're born for something more. We have everything in that program for you, and it's channeled straight from the Akashic field. It's what got me to where I am today, and it continues to be the cornerstone of how people shift and change their life the moment that they recognize that they are made for more. Lots of love.